everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. We have Chelsea Shafer back on the pod for, what do they call that? Like your second appearance? I can't think of the fancy name. She's back again, and we love that. We're so excited to have Chelsea back on. We are having Chelsea join us to talk all about dating today, which is great because Emily and I have literally no experience in this in our 20s. So this will be a great episode with Chelsea today. A little bit about Chelsea as a reminder, if you haven't tuned in to her episode lately. Chelsea is a dietitian and yoga teacher who graduated from Purdue University with Emily and I. She graduated in 2020 and completed her supervised practice at the Wellness Workday Dietetic Internship, which specialized in sports nutrition and entrepreneurship.
Fast forward to now, Chelsea is a proud registered dietitian and unbelievably grateful for the opportunities she has to help people live healthier, happier lives and accept their bodies. Currently, Chelsea works as a registered dietitian at Happy Strong Healthy and is teaching yoga at a local studio in Atlantic Beach, Florida. Chelsea spends all of her free time with her sister and 5-month-old nephew, reading, traveling, and getting outdoors. You can find her on social media at The Flexible RD or contact her via email at chelseashafer@happystronghealthyrd.com. And we will also make sure to link her socials and contact information in the bio. But we're so excited for today. This is such a fun episode. We had such a great time, and enjoy.
Chelsea, welcome back to the Up-Beet Dietitians podcast.
Thank you so much, guys. I'm so thrilled to be here.
We are so excited. Emily and I, we were just saying, we have not been in the dating pool for a long time. So this episode could never have been a solo one, which is two of us, Emily, because we could never record it. Like, we'd be the worst people to talk about this topic.
Nothing relevant to say.
So Chelsea, you're a perfect guest for this.
Well, thank you so much. Honestly, this is content or like a conversation I never expected to be having. But yeah, after getting out of like a super long relationship, it was just really interesting to be in the space again. Like at my age, 26, I was like, okay, I'm out here dating again. Like after being in that long relationship, what the heck is even happening out here? And how like my standards and what I'm looking for in a partner have just changed so much. It's been a ride for sure.
We are so excited to talk about it. But before we get into all of that, we want to do, for people that listened to Chelsea's episode way back when, we kind of talked about her day-to-day life. We would love an updated. What is happening in your day-to-day life? Because we don't know anyone more productive and driven than Chelsea. So we're excited. What is happening right now in your life?
Well, my Google Calendar has way less colors actually these days, which is so exciting. Things are a little more streamlined. I've been very fortunate in my work life where I work for Happy Strong Healthy. And I think when I spoke to you guys before, I may have just been a podcast manager and for What the Actual Fork, and then also her intern of some kind. I don't know. It's changed so many times. But now I'm one of her dietitians, which is amazing. So that's like my full-time gig, which is like, I have my calendar open from like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Clients book whenever. It's amazing. And then I book other things in between, like chatting with other dietitians. I love having the freedom to, since I work from home, like just booking calls with other dietitians who also work from home in the field. And then I teach yoga as well for just private clients and then at a studio in Atlantic Beach. So that's really all it is. And then I fill my other time with creating content for Instagram and TikTok and dreaming about what's next and seeing my sister and my nephew who live right next door. So life is really, really full. I'm so happy.
That's amazing. Wow. That really is like a total 180 from episode whatever it was way back when.
I think I had actually 6 or 7 jobs at that time, and I wish I was kidding, but honestly, that's such a big part of my journey though, and I met so many amazing people, and I think I wouldn't have the life I have now with like a little bit more simplicity and streamlining, and had I not hustled so hard, and I'm still hustling, don't get me wrong. I'm still hustling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a little bit more focused and I'm spending a lot more time focusing on my relationships with friends and family, and dating. So it's been really fun.
Okay, what a natural segue. Let's get into it. Okay, our first question for you, because we have literally no idea what's going on in the dating world. Do you feel like there's any challenges currently, or like, are you having a pretty good experience so far?
I am sure that some people have so many challenges, you know? For me, I think something that helped was I have like a one strike and you're out policy. So,
There we
and
go.
by that I mean I'm straight. There are so many men in the world. So many. Why would I continue entertaining one that I was already unsure about like the first or second time we were meeting? You know, like they say one thing and I'm out of there because there's just no need. There are so many men, especially I'm living in Florida, Atlantic Beach right now. And I feel like it's really fun to date here. There's just people are always down for whatever. There's so much opportunity. So I feel like that made it a lot easier because I wasn't like stressing over anything. I was like, oh, well, they said this or they did this, didn't love that. They're definitely not for me. You know, I feel like through my last relationship and also other experiences I picked up dating, I knew what I wasn't looking for very clearly. And if it didn't feel right, I was like, okay, I'm going to follow my gut this time. There is no reason I should ignore that. There's so much opportunity and I'm in no rush. I think something that also helped was I was so happy and I feel like my life was so complete and beautiful on its own. And I knew I like wanted love, but I felt no need to rush it and knew that it would happen eventually. And when that time came, then I would just enjoy it then. And that would be a part of my journey again.
I think that also speaks to just like dating as you get a little older too. Like you get so much more confident in yourself and like, you know what you're looking for. When you're like 18, 19, 20, like you're literally a kid. Like,
yeah, I was
we don't know
making
what we
some big
want. That's
decisions
crazy.
when I was 20. Okay. So,
Like our frontal lobe is not developed yet.
can I talk about that for a second?
Okay.
Because
Can we
I
please?
always heard that and I was like, no effing way. Like, come on, be real. How could that possibly be true? I swear when I tell you a flip switched and I suddenly could make good decisions, I was like, what is happening right now? Is this what they were talking about? And I honestly can't believe that. And I'm embarrassed to even say this because I would always talk so much shit about it because I was like, there's no way. But there is, it's real. I couldn't believe it. Yeah. And this is when this
It's
whole
crazy.
change happened, you know, like that other relationship ended. I was like my whole life kind of changed. Whenever I guess my frontal lobe developed or, you know, things happened in a series that like my life a year ago or even 6 months ago looked completely different than it does now, which is insane to consider.
I think I remember Hannah and I, like we're all around the same age. When we like also we talked about it, how like when we turned 25, like things just started making sense. And we're like, oh,
well, you can
that's
like hear it
why.
on our podcast. Like we were what, like 22, 23 when we first started this podcast. And now we
Yeah.
are recording completely different topics. So even like aside from like dating, personal life, all of that, like even professionally too, I feel like our frontal lobe developing has played a huge role.
Yeah, I just love that for us. More,
Self
You're doing
growth is just so
great.
great.
I know.
Okay, well, I'm glad that you're not really you have your standards set. And we love that
Oh,
for you.
yes, and I actually did think of a challenge, and this is
Oh.
hilarious. I was on like my first like Hinge date, which truly don't know that I should have been on it anyway because he was 10 minutes late. No, 15 minutes late because he was quote like gaming with the boys. But it was right. Oh,
Oh.
I know it's embarrassing. I can't believe people are gonna hear me say this. I only went, I was like, yes, I have standards, and I still went on this freaking date. No, but my friend was driving me and she was like, it's your first one. Like, you should just do it for experience, whatever. Cause I was like, I should turn my ass around. Like, what am I doing here? But I was like, okay, it's for the plot. So I did show up and that was a date where I was like, wow, how do I leave a date? I never thought about this. We just went to a bar to get drinks and I was like, when do I leave? Like, when is it a good time? When his monologue doesn't seem to be finishing. So when do I dip? I didn't know, you know? So that was like one challenge is if I didn't continue dating longer, because I am locked down now, but had I continued to date a little bit longer, I would have had to find like some creative strategies to get out of that. Because that was a situation I wouldn't want to find myself in again.
That's such a good point. Like, I didn't think about that. My social anxiety could never. I would just be there all night talking about whatever they want to talk about. Okay, dude, I want to hear about your gaming, I guess.
Yeah, well, something that was fun about that is like it's so interesting to just like be quiet and see what comes up, you know? Like see what comes out
Yes.
of their mouth. Like just let them continue
That
talking.
is so dietitian of you to
Yeah.
say.
nutrition counselor of me, and it works so well on dates. If there are any other dietitians listening, use silence as a weapon, as a tool. Okay, not a weapon, a tool.
A weapon.
And just see what comes up.
Oh my gosh.
That's
Yeah. How did
amazing.
you end up getting out of it? Did he stop talking?
Oh my God.
Eventually.
Unlikely.
So he said, so I think we were on this date for like 3 hours. And
Oh my God.
I keep in mind, one White Claw lasted me 3 hours. That was like another problem.
You were
I was
nursing
like,
it.
I should be a little tipsier than this, truly. I don't use alcohol as a disclaimer. However, I definitely could have used like another one for that one. But I ended up leaving because he was like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. And I was like, oh, actually, I have to go. And then I called my Uber.
There we go.
Amazing.
And I left. Luckily, the Uber came. Like he was still paying the bill, and I like at the bar, and I was like, "Oh, my Uber's here." I gave him a little hug, and then left, and that was it. Like he didn't even walk me. Nothing. I was not waiting. I was like, "I'm out of here. I'm taking my ass home." That was it.
Oh,
Oh man.
so amazing.
But I must have played it off well because the next day he was like, "Would love to see you again," and I was like, "Oh, I'm not over my ex." That was like a good.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So it's
I
a
know.
little messy out there for sure. For sure.
Okay, so there are some challenges. That's good to know. At first, I was like, it's going good. I love this, but I'm sure undoubtedly there are.
Yeah, that was my optimism speaking for sure. And also my just like, I'm not going to get invested quickly is another thing. Like
Yeah.
it's not like if someone didn't text me back, I was like, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me. Or like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. I was like, okay, well, not my man. I would want a man that texts me back, you know? So yeah, definitely my pickiness helped to have fewer challenges, but also there were one or two. So
Yeah. Well, as dietitians, we of course need to tie in body image, self-worth, all those different things. So let's get into that. What are your thoughts on whether it's like your own personal experience or like what you've heard from clients? Like, how does body image affect the dating experience, would you say?
Yes, that is so interesting because like by the time I was dating again, I'd been an anti-diet dietitian, weight inclusive dietitian for a while, you know, or at least like since undergrad had been invested in that. So like I would say I had a good 3 or 4 years of having this ideology before I was dating again recently. And what I didn't expect is like insecurities for me popping up a little bit. So yes, I've had these conversations with clients as well, which I'll get into. But yeah, for me, it was like, oh my gosh, I was getting ready for a date and I'm like, I'm feeling a little insecure in my body. What's going on? But then I will say that didn't last very long because I counseled myself a little bit, or really I just had the realization that like, if he doesn't like my body, then he's not for me. Again, it's kind of like if it doesn't fit, then I'm not a problem. He's not a problem. It just is not the right fit. So I also, you guys know me in real life, you might know this. I have a pretty healthy ego at the end of the day. So like, if he didn't like me, then it's not personal. And just like if I didn't like him, it wouldn't be personal. But there's also the fact that like if they have already seen my dating profile, there's a good chance that they're attracted to me. So that was also kind of like a logic moment, fighting the anxiety of like, okay, logically, it's reasonable to assume that if he saw my profile and still wanted to go on a date, then you know he liked what he saw. So at least there was that. But yeah, I think that definitely comes up a little bit, and it's interesting to manage it. Honestly, I think for me, insecurity, I feel like I come off really strong. Like I show up to like that first date like really good because again, I don't really care what they think. I'm going to go in and like focus on having a good time and then see how that goes. Like I'm not going to try to win them over. I'm going to see if we have a good time together. But I've noticed other insecurities coming up like as I'm seeing one person for a little longer, and that has been interesting because at that point I'm a little more invested in like what they think and how they're feeling. So and nothing bad has like happened, but it's like a thought that I've noticed. Whereas like in the beginning, had no issues, was very confident, pretty much. But then like as it gets a little further into like seeing someone, that's where I noticed a little bit more insecurity coming up.
So interesting. And it's nice that you had that like backbone of being an anti-diet dietitian for years and building up into this and feeling like confident in what you know and having the skills to also like counsel yourself out of it when you're kind of in your head a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And then speaking of counseling, when it comes to clients as well, I have a couple clients that are younger and dating. Actually, one is in a similar situation where she got out of a long relationship and is dating again and has noticed like that affecting her. And also one thing that I also didn't consider is like how anxiety of dating would impact my appetite. Which
Mm.
talking about my client, that's making me think of that because I went through the same thing. So I was like, okay, it'll come back. Like, don't worry. Like eventually you won't be nervous every time you see him, you won't want to like throw up. But yeah, that was something else. But yeah, when it comes to clients, like I definitely hear similar things of like worrying about their body, worrying like will they like her and stuff like that. And that's, I mean, just so relatable. I feel like we probably have all felt that at some point.
That's interesting too, like how like your body image, self-worth, all of that, like how different pieces of it will present itself at different levels of dating. So like on a first date, you feel this way with body image, and then date 7, you feel this way. You mentioned like different insecurities. Like it's kind of funny, not really funny, I guess, just kind of crazy how like different ones pop up at different times depending on the situation.
Yeah, of course. And then it also, if we're talking about intimacy, then like that impact, like the for your first time, like with a new partner is so, definitely might have some insecurities or thoughts there about your body. So yeah, there's so many ways that body image has intersected the journey of dating that I never saw coming, but I'm honestly really thankful to have this experience. And I think it's really been really exciting to explore.
Yeah.
Wow. I feel like you're one of the first people I've ever talked to in the dating pool that's like very excited about what's going on,
Yeah.
especially when it involves men.
Okay, that's so true. And I honestly, I don't know why. I think it is, I just didn't want to let any man stress me out at the end of the day. Like, again, I think one thing that was key was I was so happy already that I was not going to be with someone who didn't make me happier. There's no way I was going to make my life worse to hang out with someone who probably wasn't right for me anyway. Like, what in the world? That would have never worked out. Um, so yeah, I had a great time. I wasn't doing it for very long. I will say that, it was maybe like maybe like 2 to 3 months of like actually dating. And I didn't go on like a date every day. Obviously, like I would probably schedule like one a week and just see how it went. But then I was also hanging out with my friends all the time and like meeting people out at bars and stuff like that. So I feel like there was like a variety. It wasn't just like I'm scheduling a hinge date every week and seeing how it goes. It was, yeah, it was pretty fun for sure. And I had, again, my life was so full already that I knew they had to be like an asset or there was just no way I was gonna spend my time doing that.
Yeah, exactly. I love that.
Mm.
Okay, let's talk green flags and red flags.
Mm.
Whether it is just like in general, but maybe we can also tie it into like nutrition, things people say about maybe your body, things like that. I think this could apply to any like male or female that we're dating, of course. Like anyone could comment these different things, but let's start with the red flags and then end on the green flags. What are some red flags to look out for? What might your date say that you'd be like, no, no date ever again. We're done.
Yes. Well, honestly, my red flags go back to the dating apps. There were like some
Mm.
clear things on the dating apps that if I saw that, there was no way we were going on a date. And this might seem harsh, but again, so many men. So let's see. And this is also just me. So if anyone hears this and was like, that's horrible, then like, that's okay. Don't do it.
Yeah.
One thing was like prompt on Hinge is like, what does your Sunday look like? I knew that for me, if they said their Sundays were like church and football, that it was just not going to work out because that is nothing like my Sundays at all, you know? So that was one flag. Not even a red flag, just kind of like okay, not gonna work out, you know? So another red flag was if we were on a date and they said something negative about someone else's body, 0 out of 10.
Mm.
Emily, you're making that face, but it happens often.
Mm.
Will say
Oh, I
some
hate
crazy
that.
shit. Yes. Oh, oh my gosh, there are so many. Again, I was like, they were out of here. One thing wrong. Um, I will say for me, like political affiliation is important. That's
Mm.
just like feels very important to me as a human and like my values. So if we were not aligned on that, then that wasn't going to work out. one fun green flag. Okay, I'm just like mixing them up, the reds and the greens.
Please do. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
Okay. That's just how my brain works. So a green flag was if they let me see their zodiac sign on Hinge, like if they have it available.
Hey, you love Zodiac. I love that.
I do, but also it's just like, okay, they're probably not gonna make fun of me for liking zodiac signs. So green flag.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but height is a factor. I'm 5'8", so if they were 5'8", it wasn't going to work out. I think that was my only limit. However, it is also true that men lie about their height on dating apps. I had
Yeah.
heard rumors of this, but it's true. It's true. And that's all I'll say. It's that experience. And that I don't need to talk about that too much because so many other people do, but it is mind-boggling because what do you think is going to happen when you get to the date?
What it's like catfishing. Like you see a totally different person's picture. Like it's not gonna be a good date after that. Like there's not a second date.
How do you think that's gonna go? Is the only thing that I would like to hear from the men who do this. So I should have asked when I was in that situation, but I didn't. However, that also would have been good for the plot. Anyway, so okay, red flags. Unfortunately, I had some red flags with other men who work in healthcare. I just don't know that that's going to be, that would ever be for me unless they were weight inclusive, which as we all know is very rare. So
yeah,
that just their beliefs about health and nutrition are probably just not going to be aligned per my experience. And that's just not something I want to spend time unpacking. Like, I think another thing was like, okay, it's not realistic for me to assume that everyone's going to know about weight inclusive care and health at every size. They probably won't, to be honest, but are they teachable? Like, are they open to learning about it basically? And like, if it's important to me, I would hope it would be important to them to understand. I mean, it's like my whole life, I do this every day. I feel so passionately about it. So, are they open to it? Do they want to learn about it? And are they like me? Are they fat phobic? Basically, that was also a red flag. Like, there's just no way that that's ever going to work out. Again, I can't assume that they'll know about weight inclusive care, but I can like hope that they won't be an asshole. So there's that distinction.
a middle ground at least. Yeah.
Yeah, at least like some kind of like curiosity maybe, or just open to learning about it for sure.
Have you had anyone like comment on the like food choice you make or like how much you're choosing to eat, anything like that at all?
I'm trying to think if I even went on like
food dates.
food dates. The only like dinner date I went on was with someone who had already seen like a couple times. So no, like honestly, again, I didn't date
That's
that
good.
much. Like I was just kind of out here having a good time, meeting people. And yeah, so no, but that would have been a fun conversation. Again, I would have implemented my dietitian skills. And of course, like it is interesting because with the person I'm dating now, we talk about food often, like he in a like respectful, fun way, and he's just very curious about what I do and everything. So that's very fun. But yeah, it's never been in like a weird kind of shaming, blaming, judgmental place. So yeah, that probably wouldn't be amazing. And I've heard other dietitians, or actually not, she's not a dietitian, Victoria Garrick. I've heard her like talk about having those conversations with her partner who she's been married to been with for forever now. So I was prepared to have conversations like that if I needed to, for sure.
That's good.
Yeah.
Going on a tangent back to the Zodiac thing. I am ignorant when it comes to that. I just don't know a whole lot about it. Is there like a certain sign that is compatible with you ideally?
Yes. And unfortunately, that like ideal sign was my ex-boyfriend. So I did decide I could never date one ever again. So that was another factor. Again, I was picky. Okay.
I love that for
Yeah.
you.
And again, it wasn't really based, again, it was kind of just based on vibes at the end of the day, which I think is important. So, yeah, so funny.
It's like it's one piece of data. It's not like it's everything. It's just
exactly. So would that be a deal breaker if everything else looked amazing? Absolutely not. But would it be like, oh my God, he goes to church and he's a Libra? Like, I just don't know. Again, that person would be great for someone else.
Yeah.
But I think there were more so signs that I was like, okay, it will literally never work out. They'll think it will, but it won't. So that was more so like, okay, I don't even need to call out the signs unless you want me to, then I will.
I could totally nerd out about it. I mean, I've definitely Googled if me and Ross are compatible, and we are, according to what Google has to say. So
Amazing.
that's good.
Yay. What about you?
Emily, yeah,
I
Emily,
don't
are you and
think
Bobby
Bobby and
compatible?
I are. We're both Virgos.
Oh,
Oh,
you're both
fun.
Virgos.
Yeah. I feel like we're very different Virgos,
Mm.
but based off of what I've looked up, I don't think Virgos are supposed to be together.
That's the point, though. It's like it's one piece of data.
Yeah.
You guys clearly are good together, even if
Yeah.
the stars don't say so.
Yes, and actually the person I'm dating now is an Aquarius, and I hadn't dated another Aquarius before. I'm an Aquarius, and I didn't know
Oh.
about the compatibility. And even when you Google it, there's not a lot of info about it.
Mhm.
But I was like, everything feels so perfect. There's no way we aren't. So I'm just gonna continue on.
There we
Just roll
go.
with it.
And eventually, of course, I did make him download CoStar, and then we got down to it. But I waited. I gave him like a good month and a half, I think, before I initiated that. Which before, if I knew it wasn't going well, I would make them download it early and like early on. And I was like, knew it. So
That's amazing.
Oh my God. Well, let's, in classic fashion of this podcast, bring it back to body image.
yes.
What would you say to someone who's struggling with body image issues and it might be holding them back from dating?
Yes. Well, I think as a dietitian, I think the first step is figuring out like where did that even come from? Where did that start? And diving in really deep there. So, like, was it family influence? Was it another man in her life at some point? Like, figuring out what happened there and reminding them that that should have never happened in the first place. Like that wasn't their defining moment for how they should feel about their body. That was just something someone said or did that had nothing to do with them. So that's something that I definitely like to start with. And then from there, it's about discovering like, okay, what do you need to do to be comfortable on a date or when you're dating? So whether it's the clothes that you're wearing, making sure you love your outfit, you feel amazing and confident, and like you really have a sense of like, your sense of style, that's huge. I definitely think it tells you a lot how you feel on a date with someone. Like, do you feel like you should be self-conscious about yourself on a date? And is that because of your own anxiety, or is it because of how like what the vibe is like on the date? I think that that's important to pick up on. I also think reminding them that their worth has nothing to do with the way their body looks. Like your body's going to change throughout life no matter what. So if you are already not feeling good in your body on that first date, then like with this person, then that should be something to unpack a little bit further. Like, is it that you worry they wouldn't like you if your body changed? Because that would be a huge issue. Yeah, I think also something that helped me a lot early on in my body image journey was remembering that attraction and everything is so subjective. That, all of us on the screen right now look very different, and there's a low chance that someone would be attracted to all of us. Like that is just it. People have their types, and that's amazing. Again, be picky, figure out what you actually want, and then take it from there. So I think that remembering that not everyone is attracted to everyone, just like we're not attracted to everyone, is really helpful and helps you take it, like maybe even take rejection in a more neutral way of like, okay, well, it wasn't that there's something wrong with me. They just aren't for me. And that's okay.
I love this. This is like our
Oh,
first
yeah.
time discussing this, like any capacity on here. So this is like,
Yeah, this is great.
I love this so much.
Yay. I love it too. This is so fun. I just love talking to you guys.
Oh,
Same.
you're gonna have to be just an honorary member of the Up-Beet Dietitians, I think.
I love
Yeah.
it. Thank you.
Well, those are really all of our big questions. Is there anything else about body image, dating, doing it in 2024 that we didn't bring up that you want to bring up, or do you think we kind of covered it all? Or even like a way to kind of like sum up all that you've shared today?
A way to sum up all that I shared today is that if you fully believe that there are so many other things about you that are more important than the way your body looks, this is going to go a lot better. If your confidence comes from the way your body looks and that's like solely what it's based on, then it might be tricky if you have bad body image days, or if you do get rejected, like I think it's really important to know how valuable you are outside of the way your body looks. Of course, that's a factor in dating, like attraction and everything. But like, if you are looking for someone that you want to have a long-term relationship with, then they should love everything about you other than that has nothing to do with your body, you know? And also, this is like more so for the girls, but again, that man is like lucky to be there. Man or woman or whoever you're dating, very lucky to be there on that date with you, and you believe that. If you believe that, then that is also helpful. It just helps with your confidence and knowing that like your time is valuable. You can be picky about who you're seeing, and you chose to see this person. They're so lucky to be there. And I hope that that helps a little bit to ease your nerves and just help you come in with a little bit more confidence.
I wish I could have like
Love
heard
it.
you say that when I was like 15,
I was
16.
gonna say.
I needed that.
Well, if our listeners would like to hear more from you and hear more of your wisdom and all of your amazing thoughts, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram at The Flexible RD. You can also find me on TikTok at The Flexible RD. That one is still a work in progress. On my Instagram, I have a link in my bio where you can see other podcasts I've been on or other features, as well as a link to my newsletter, which I'm going to get started up again now that my life has come down a little bit. Again, had that huge change. Now, you know, ready to be leveling up. That was my intention for this year. So part of that is getting my my newsletter back in order. So that's where you can find me. Would love to hear from you, from anyone who's listening.
Well, thank you so much for coming on, Chelsea. This was so fun. You aren't leaving yet because everyone go listen to the bonus question where we're going to keep Chelsea around more. It's going to be very juicy in that episode. I'm so excited for it. But thank you so much for coming on. It's been so long since we've had you on the pod.
I know, and I am so happy to be back. I love speaking with you guys, and this was such a fun topic to be highlighted for. I think it's so fun. So thank you so much for having me, and I can't wait until I'm back next time.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We will see you next week.
Bye, guys.